So I wanted to make this video because I don't like where we are when it comes to this seemingly forced adoption of Bluetooth headphones. If I were to go back to 2006, I was a huge proponent of, I got my little Bluetooth headphone Motorola in my ear and I could talk on the phone. It's nice to be hands-free. And for the time, it was fine. And I don't want to say things haven't gotten much better because they have, but I'd say the overall experience from my perspective hasn't gotten much better. Battery life might be a little bit better, sound quality might be a little bit better, but the overall experience has slightly improved, in my opinion, in almost 2 decades. And when I listened to the Vergecast today, you had a caller call in, asked a question, and I believe David summed up his recommendation right there, pretty quickly at the end of the conversation, or sorry, at the end of the question. So in addition to asking you to subscribe, I'd like to talk to you about today's video sponsor, Quaker Rice Cakes. Now, personally, I choose the low salt or no salt options, and I put a little bit of peanut butter, a little bit of honey, a little bit of cinnamon. You get yourself a nice snack. Now, I'm not going to vouch for any of the other flavors because the amount of sodium in each individual cake, but for these low salt ones, I think they're a relatively healthy, nutritious snack, and I would recommend them to just about anybody. So today's video sponsor, Quaker Rice Cakes. But then they went on for another 5 to 10 minutes explaining, well, if you try this, maybe you'll get this experience. If you try this, maybe you'll get that experience, blah, 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 blah. So before I go any further, let's actually just listen to the question and then listen to, his brief response. And I'm not going to play the entirety of what the other host said. But let's listen.
Hello, Vergecast. This is Zach from Las Vegas. I have a few $100s that I wanted to spend on a new gadget, and I've been looking at the Pixel Buds Pro 2. I have the original Pros, and I'm mostly happy with them, but when I take them running, they often aren't very secure, and I thought the Pro 2s would fix that. However, I've recently been intrigued with the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. I think they'd work well on my runs, incorporating sunglasses and speakers for music, and it's a new, fun class of tech that I don't have. However, I'm all in on the Google ecosystem and Pixel products, and I didn't want to add a new assistant or AI to my life. If you were in my position, which would you purchase? Thank you.
All right, V-Song is here to help me. Hi, V.
Hi. I empathize so much.
Right, you know why you're here for this,
I know,
right?
I know, yeah.
Okay, so I want to reframe this question very slightly because I think I don't want to spend a ton of time litigating the Pixel Buds Pro specifically, in part just because everybody's ears are different, right? And the only actually good advice we can give is try them. Buy them both, try them, see what happens. But I do think the question of can the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses be a kind of multi-purpose useful exercise thing is a question we've actually gotten a bunch of times. So I want to talk about that. And I also want to throw in, you and I have both tried and are fans of the Shocks Open Runs. So I think in those 3 categories, you have the headphones that go in your ears, you have the bone conduction headphones, and you have smart glasses.
Okay. So I've made this video in the past, and I might have mentioned that before, but when it comes to headphones, especially these true wireless ones, it gets to the point where you really have to, I guess, compromise. Yeah, that would be the best word, because you look at what the big companies have, Google, Apple, Samsung, and it's like, well, if they don't fit your ears, then you're just kind of stuck. Then you have a bunch of other smaller companies because, he mentioned something, I'm not really sure what they were, and then you have bone conducting ones, and then you have sunglasses with speakers on them and everything. And, if I were to have played, or if you choose to go listen to the rest of what is said, they both mention that, when you have headphones that aren't closed, i.e. don't have a seal, you're going to get a lot of background noise from your surrounding environments. Bone conduction ones as well, and especially if your speaker is freaking on your glasses, then you're definitely going to get a bunch of background noise that simply, or dramatically impacts what you're trying to accomplish. So I have not used AirPods, but I have used the Google Pixel Buds. I had the Pixel Buds A, so not the most expensive ones. I did have the Pixel Buds Pro. They came free with the purchase of a Pixel 8 last year, and I never even opened them. They stayed sealed in the box, and I recently sold them on eBay. I got positive feedback from that buyer, so I assume that they are satisfied with their purchase. But I did not want them because over a year ago, in fact, I'll say for the last several years, I have been using Bluetooth stuff, but different from these true wireless things. So in the previous video that I made, I talked about the LG Tones, where it's a neck band, and then from the neck band you had little wires and then little earbuds that you put in your ears. I think that's a good implementation. Some might say, oh, well, when you're running, they kind of flop a little bit, so I'd have to tuck it in my shirt, and that would definitely help or prevent it from flopping as much. But me, being a dummy, I think I had them charging on the ground, or maybe even just stored on the ground, and I was vacuuming. And instead of just picking them up and moving them out of the way, I attempted to just nudge them out of the way with the vacuum. The cable got sucked up in the bristles, and essentially one of the buds was no longer working because of damage to the cable. Bought another pair, wasn't satisfied with them, and at that point I said, well, there has to be something else I can do. And even with the LG Tone, there kind of was some compromise, because you're like, okay, I have to use what LG thinks is an appropriate form factor. So what I started using was this. Okay, the BTR3 from FiO. I know I'm probably not using it the way that they intended their customers to use it, but I think I paid $50 for this almost 3 years ago now. Let's just round down to 2. Almost a full. Let's say a full 2 years ago. I don't want to say 3 years ago. So yeah, let's say a full 2 years ago, and it still works. And because this is just the Bluetooth. In fact, let me back up. Let me explain how it works. So this little guy is a Bluetooth transceiver / DAC, digital audio converter. So if you wanted to plug it into something, and as we scroll down, you'll see some pictures, you can. But all I do is I say, hey, I don't want to be tethered to my phone. So I take this little guy and I pair it to my phone, and then it has a 3.5mm headphone jack on the bottom. And I just plug in whatever headphones I want to use while using this. So perfect example right now. I am using a pair of wired earpods from Apple, and when I'm watching TV, and I live in an apartment, so I try not to be too loud, and especially when I was living with my roommate, I would connect this to the Apple TV, and then I would connect a pair of wired headphones to it, and I could listen to it however I see fit. She might be sitting there right there reading a book, and I wanted to be in the same room with her while I'm watching TV. So I would connect to the Apple TV like this, and I'd be able to enjoy my TV show or my movie. Yesterday, I took today off, but yesterday I connected this to my computer, not this particular one, but another one, and I was on my exercise bike, which you can't see right there, but instead of using this open type of headphone like these earpods, I wanted a more sealed approach. So I have these JBL Run version 2, I think, and I used these headphones with this BTR3, and I was able to, seal out any background noise, which at 4:30 in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, there's really not much noise. And in my apartment, there's not much noise either. But these were made more so for working out than than what I'm wearing in my ear right now. And I said, okay, boom, I have the versatility. Now I do have another pair of these JBL Runs Endurance. I think JBL Endurance Run or JBL Run Endurance, I forget. But these ones right here are the version 1, and they stopped working, unfortunately. But I think that furthers the point, and I'm not completely sure what's wrong with them, but it definitely furthers the point that the most expensive part of my getup is still functional. This little guy still works, and all of the headphones that I'm using, coincidentally, all cost $20. I don't know how that is true, but it is. So when I want to watch TV, or when I'm podcasting, or whatever, or if I'm talking, especially when I'm talking on the phone, and I don't use this when I'm talking on the phone, but when I'm watching TV and movies, boom, open ear design, I'm good to go. When I want to work out, boom, I use these JBL wired headphones. And when the $20 pair of headphones stops working, I just go spend another $20, and I'm able to just get right back up with the situation or with usage. Now, There's one thing that he did mention, and in fact, I'll mention it quickly because we might be curious about functionality. And I'll scroll down slowly. You can see, everything that these things do. And the BTR3, I believe, is the cheapest one. And pairs with your phone, whatever, pairs with other Bluetooth devices. Like I was saying, if you want to hook it up to that, you can use it as a DAC or something. That's the picture I wanted to show. Yeah, it's a DAC, a USB DAC. I think I've done that once, so don't really care that much because that's not why I use it or how I use it. But he did mention that he was in the Android ecosystem and he uses the Google Assistant. I don't know what else it might use, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but if I shake my mouse, there it is. Right here it says you can activate Siri, so I would assume it might work with the Google Assistant. Don't know. Don't quote me on that one. Don't know. But the other thing I wanted to show, and this is really what why I get bothered when it comes to these truly wireless headphones. Again, as a former user, not of AirPods, but of Google's version of it. Here's a conversation I had with my roommate, or former roommate, as I was talking about earlier. First thing I'd like to say, I asked if remember to use her Starbucks thing. That's referencing a T-Mobile Tuesday thing. So for those of you who use T-Mobile Tuesday, I hope you enjoy it. But she said, side note, my left AirPod won't hold a charge. I think I dropped the case too many times. Looks like the pros are the same. What is that about? And I said, that's no good. Do you have multiple pairs? I forget. So I forgot. She brought regular ones and pros. And she's having the same issue with both. And she says that she uses the left one more often than the right one. So battery drain, or I'll say uneven battery drain, occurs. Are they not charging as a result of being dropped too much? I have no idea. But the fact that she has bought two pairs, so I'm going to assume $300 collectively. It's probably a little more than that, but let's just round down to $300 collectively between these two now no longer fully functioning pair of AirPods. Whereas I spent $50 on this, and I know I bought it used, but $50 on this 2 years ago still works. And between these three pair of wired headphones, $60. So we're at $110 all in right there. Yes, one of the pair of headphones no longer functions, which I might plan to see if I can fix that or whatever. But I just don't like the fact that she and plenty of other people, and this isn't shunning Apple, this is for all of the companies that are making these truly wireless things, they're trying to do too much. Things go wrong. You don't know why. Battery life is fine. I mean, this is a bigger device compared to a pair of AirPods or Pixel Buds. The battery in here is bigger, so I don't have to charge as frequently. And I'm not having any issues with it. So what was the point of this video? In addition to shouting out T-Mobile Tuesday, and down here at the bottom, she, like many of my friends who have iPhones, have updated to iOS 18 and are now RTS compatible, is to say, one, Bluetooth is great. I mean, this is a Bluetooth device. To not be tethered to your phone or your computer or whatever it is great. But when you're trying to do too much in these little earbuds, you end up with a compromised experience. A compromised experience, worse battery life, and they cost more. Just not great. I did not include it in this one, and I thought about doing it, but again, I've made a video in the past where they do a microphone test of the wireless earbuds. And, this year they did a couple of companies and they were fine, whatever. If you really care, you can look it up on their site. But I still always say, one, if you're going to do those wireless tests, you need to make sure that the buds are the same brand as the device that they're connecting to, because chances are there's some type of proprietary something going on, when it's available, Apple to Apple, Google to Google, Samsung to Samsung. But the other thing, which they did not do in this most recent test, is they did not compare that to a pair of wired headphones, at least not to my knowledge. I don't know if the entire time we were podcasting or they were podcasting, maybe the first bit of audio was from a wired pair, but they didn't explicitly say, oh, we are using wired headphones for this, or wired earbuds, or the microphone in a pair of wired earbuds, or maybe the microphone on the Mac. I really don't know. I just wish they would have clarified that. But the reason I bring that up is because even though for the majority of this video I've been talking about using this, when I am talking on the phone, because my phone still has a headphone jack, I use this pair of headphones. And I just connect it directly to my headphone, to the headphone jack on that phone, because it still exists. And I know USB-C audio is a thing, but it's not all created equal. So I'll just leave it at that. So in summary, wired headphones are good. Bigger batteries are good. And versatility is nice. So if you choose to use your truly wireless headphones, fine. Just realize you might end up like my friend right here with, one of these just isn't charging anymore, and I'm not really sure why. And, because I use one more often than the other, the battery on this one lasts longer than the one that I usually use. Can I replace the battery? No. I'm not saying I could replace the battery in this. I honestly don't know. I haven't tried. I'm sure there's a seam somewhere that I can break, and I can look to see if the battery has been soldered or if it's just connected in. If it's just connected in, I could probably replace it. But yeah, I just want people to be aware of the fact that, one, options exist. And two, it is nice to ask people their opinions on things. But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to do your own research. And I would hope that after you do your research, you aren't willing to compromise. And I feel that if somebody were to buy the Google Pixel Buds or the AirPods or the Meta Ray-Bans, whatever, for the most part, you are compromising on something. You are saying, hey, instead of having multiple devices, I just want one that does all of these things, but worse than if I had each individual thing that I'm trying to accomplish. So I think I'm good there. And yeah, consider buying something besides truly wireless earbuds.